Hello, and welcome to Unscheduled Flights, exploring the realms of inspiration, innovation, and creativity. I'm your host, Ambika Waters, and I welcome you to this podcast and hope you find it as interesting as I do. Hi, I'm Ambika Waters, and welcome to Unscheduled Flights, a podcast that explores the realm of creativity, innovation, and inspiration. And today we are blessed to have Marcus Fernandez, the founder and principal of the Center for Homeopathic Education in London. And we were just meeting one another and kind of catching up on who we knew in the homeopathic world. And I'm going to continue that in this podcast. Marcus, thank you for being with
Oh,
us.
thank you, Ambika, for having me. It's really lovely to see you. We were going to meet in Bali, but now we're meeting online.
I know, second best thing I say.
Absolutely, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
tell me about how you came to start this Center for Homeopathic Education, when you started it, and how it's gone.
Yeah. Well, it was back in 1998. Well, actually, we just talked about 98. It was back in 1998, and at the time, homeopathy was quite divided. As you know, there's politics in homeopathy. Even in homeopathy, can we all believe it? And it seemed very divided around. It was either very classical homeopathy or very practical homeopathy, and it was like these
Right.
two polarities within homeopathy. And I always felt it should be patient driven, client driven, not methodology driven. That was
Good,
my
good.
feeling really.
Yeah.
And there's different ways to treat people. There's not one way. If anybody ever tells you there's one way to practice homeopathy, then it ain't the right way.
I
Because
agree with you there,
yeah,
very much so.
but people, because I was quite young, when I started the school, I was like 27, 28. I was quite young. I've been practicing a long time.
Right,
Because I trained when I was 20. I started training with Robert Davidson. We just been talking about,
right.
and so I've been practicing for a good 7 or 8 years before I started the school. And for me, I felt in my practice, and I was very blessed. Always had a very busy practice because this was my only career. I had to make this work, and I was so passionate about
Right.
homeopathy, and still am. But I thought I could reach more people if we had a school, and we could
Yeah.
train people to do it, and then we can, homeopathy would spread even quicker. So we were again very blessed. Started CHE with two other colleagues, and we started with 4 years running. I mean, people came from other colleges to join us, and that was an amazing start. And that's 28 years. It's been a long time.
Oh, a whole
So
Saturn cycle of 28.
absolutely,
Wow. Wow. So this is
absolutely.
an anniversary year for you.
Yeah,
That's big.
absolutely. Yeah,
That's the year I left the UK. I
yeah,
qualified in 96 with the society. I was in practice. I got invited to Visa to deal with their communications department.
yeah,
And then it was time to go back. I had left
yeah.
America 30 years before.
Wow.
So that's why we must have just been
Yeah, yeah,
ships
yeah,
passing in the night,
yeah.
really. Well, I congratulate you. To keep and sustain a college for 28 years is nothing short of a miracle. I know that. I
I
know
know it's
that.
funny. We talk now. We start talking about decades, and I was on a podcast last night. I thought, oh my goodness, it's like where does the time go? But it's been an amazing time.
What have you learned?
What have I learned?
Yeah, about
That's a re
leadership and
mm,
being a principal and trying to teach something that is,
yeah,
I used to describe homeopathic education as having to turn your head inside out. The reason it took so long is you have to reformulate every idea you ever had in your life.
absolutely. And that was for me was Robert Davidson, the late great Robert Davidson. When I
Yes,
was a
that,
20-year-old,
yes.
and got trained by Robert. I mean, I remember sitting in class as a 20-year-old, and I'd never met anybody like Robert Davidson before.
There
And
was
people,
nobody like Robert Davidson anywhere in the universe.
no,
Come on.
no, I mean, you talk to anybody, we all have the same reaction. Listen, he was no saint by any means, but
No,
my
he wasn't.
goodness, he
No, he wasn't.
inspired so many people. And exactly that, he turned my brain inside out.
But yeah,
Everything I believed about the world, he just turned upside
I
down.
know, I know.
And I feel blessed now looking back, Ambika, that I was 20 years of old. And really, that that's what I needed, and really set me up for the rest of my life. But the thing about Robert, what he made you feel you could do it. He made you feel that, he gave you that courage. He that's what I felt, and yeah, he was an amazing guy. And people listening, if you don't know Robert, Robert started the first school of homeopathy in the UK,
Yeah.
and it came out the Druid tradition and of Thomas Morn
Right.
and John de Monte, the two groups that were in London at the time, which kept it going really through the 70s after the sort of
The
plane
plane
disaster.
crash.
Yeah, plane crash
After
and all the
the
homie.
plane crash.
Yeah,
Yeah. Why
yeah.
don't you tell the story about the plane crash? I don't know if
Yeah. Yeah,
people
well,
listening know
basically,
that.
it was in the early 70s, and there was a homeopathic conference. I think it was in Belgium, and all the sort of like great homeopaths and aspiring homeopaths, the from the homeopathic hospital, the medical homeopathic doctors, were all going to this conference, and the plane crashed just outside Heathrow,
And
and
Was it Manchester United football team was on that plane?
no, that was a different. That was in the 60s. That was the Munich air disaster.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
that was the. Yeah,
oh.
I'm a Man United fan, so I know that very, very well. That
Okay.
was the Munich air disaster in Germany. No, this was just outside Heathrow, and it killed everybody. It killed all the
All the
doctors.
homeopaths.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so the people that kept it going through the 70s was the Druid Order and these two
Yes.
groups, John de Monte, and who I think he was in North London, and then Thomas Morn, who was in South London, and they
I
kept it
still
going.
have Thomas Mann's notes that were
Have
given to
you?
me by Ernest Roberts
Oh
years,
wow, Ernest, yeah, Ernest, the Manchester
and
School.
they are so brilliant,
Yeah,
positively deep, true, meaningful, and lasting.
absolutely. Well,
And I
we've got a webinar in part of CG Pro, our membership, with Tony Hurley. You know Tony Hurley?
oh, he taught me.
Yeah. So Tony,
Oh,
he's doing Thomas Morn's combination remedies
oh, how
because
fantastic.
Tony was in his group with Robert.
The last time I saw Tony Hurley, he was on his way to India.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, he liked going to India. Yeah. So so they kept homeopathy going, and then Robert started the first school really for lay homeopaths in I think it was
Right.
1977, not 78, and then him and Marty Miles set up the Society of Homeopaths,
That's right.
and
Wow,
that's
you
how
were
it all
right in the
came.
beginning. You were
Yeah.
the you were the little chick that turned into a great rooster.
Not sure about that. I think
Wow,
I
that
prefer
is
eagle, but I prefer
something.
the eagle than rooster. No, I'm joking.
Okay,
Um,
well, eagle. Let's say eagle. I like that better too. But actually,
yeah,
28 years of sustaining homeopathic education through all the politics, through
yeah,
all the changes,
yeah,
through all the division.
yeah.
I congratulate you. I know
Thank
what
you.
that takes. I taught for 11 years. I started a school here,
Yeah,
in the States, and by 11 years, I was really burned out. I thought I
yeah,
need to do something else. So
yeah.
I
Well, I think
did.
what it is about homeopathy, people, and I remember seeing a lot of people who had schools who actually it was too much,
Yeah.
because really homeopathy to me is a bit like magic. It's
Yeah,
like if you think you're the doer, same as being a practitioner, it's the
that's
same
right.
having a skill. If you think you're the doer, then you can get very lost in it because homeopathy is very powerful. And I believe
Yes.
that I believe a school or a college or a center, it's about the teachers and it's about the students. And I just feel with
Yeah.
CHE, I'm just the custodian of it. It's something I'm holding. And at some point,
Holding. That's right.
yeah, you're holding that space like you hold a space within your practice. It's the same
That's right.
thing.
That's
But
right.
you've realized that actually it's bigger than who you are, and you're there to serve. And that's how I've always
I
listen.
believe there's a great angel of homeopathy, a great, great angel in the
Yeah,
spirit realm that brings us in, holds us while we're in training. Training just gives you the ticket to get out there. It doesn't mean you
absolutely.
know everything, it's just
No.
the ticket. But I also saw something in my training. As I said, I went to 4 colleges before I qualified. And it took me 7 years to do a 4 year course. I didn't think I was smart enough. I dropped out. I
Yeah,
did therapy with people, but in the end, it was my dreams that brought me back into homeopathy. With, if you don't follow this dream, you will
yeah,
regret it, and it
yeah,
sets you up for life.
yeah,
But I saw something that happened in my last year, or going into my last year. We started the fourth year, and one of the students wasn't there, and we said, where is she? And Trish Griffith said her husband won't let her finish.
Wow.
It was like mourning somebody who had died. To
Mm.
have gotten that far along, you know how it's hard to
Yeah.
get to that fourth year. There's so
Yeah.
much attrition in the beginning.
Yeah.
People say, oh, it's not for me, or, I
Yeah.
couldn't learn this or that. But by the fourth year, you have it under your belt and you've done clinical cases. And nobody could speak. There was this
Mm.
moment of this profound grief that we had
Mm.
lost a sister.
Yeah.
And that's how you're I don't want to say you're bound to one another because that's not the right word, but you're united, you're
Absolutely.
connected, you're connected with your peers. It takes so much work to
Mm.
finish the training.
Yeah.
And by the time you've finished, you're friends for life. You're friends for
Absolutely.
life. And
And
you
I
love your
say,
teachers.
yeah, and I say that I always say, you become a homeopath. If I ever talk or do an opening day, I
Yes,
say
good. That's
it's
right.
a becoming. It's something that you become. And it's not like learning facts like history. I mean, obviously you'll
No,
learn facts, but it's something that is actually you become a homeopath. It comes from within you. And you're
that's right.
right. That feeling that you have is that you've walked that journey together. And that journey,
Yeah, that's right.
physician, heal thyself. It's like you go through a process. I always say the person that starts it is definitely not the person that finishes it.
Oh,
And I say
that's
that,
right. Very
yeah,
good. You're not. And the other thing I shared with students was you cannot take a client any deeper than you're willing to go yourself. And if you're not willing to work on yourself and harvest out your negativity, your judgment, your criticism, your fears, your anger, you're not going to be as much of service
yeah,
as you would be if you did really take on the
absolutely.
task of developing who you are as a person.
And that continues, Ambika, doesn't it? I say this all the time. You got to be in a
Yeah,
constant place of self-reflection
absolutely. Because
because,
people now are so, the wounds are so deep, but they're also so apparent. You don't have to
yeah,
dumpster dive to find the wounds.
no,
Hello, hello. They're on the
yeah,
surface, but they're multi-generational. They
yeah,
are multi-lifetimes. They are engrafted on our DNA, and just doing that work to be able to see at that level, you won't be able to do it if you can't see it in yourself. And that's
absolutely.
hugely important. So let's hear about the Gambia. A
Oh
little
yeah, yeah, yeah,
bird whispered in my ear that you had
yeah.
been to the Gambia.
Yeah, so I've just come back from Gambia in
Oh,
Africa. Yeah, so basically, how that was a project that was started by one of my graduates, Samina Khan, who in 2012 she'd been to Gambia and she had a little remedy kit, and she'd been treating people while she was there. And she came back, she said, "Marcus, we have to do something in Gambia. They've got no healthcare system, and different things." So basically, we set up this sort of like charitable arm where we set up like mobile clinics that would go to all different villages within Gambia. And I went over and, we took graduates over, students came over. I was over there with Hillary, Hillary Dorian, which she came over. And it was amazing. We'd go around and it was incredible. People would walk. I mean, you've been in Africa, two
I
or
lived
three.
there for 7 years in
Yeah,
Zaire. Yeah,
yeah. So, people would walk for 2 or 3 days because they knew we were coming to the
that's
village.
right. That's right.
And when you'd go back to villages after being there before, people would, their expectations, they couldn't wait for you to come back. And I remember one village, at the end of the day, we finished the treatment, we had to go to the next village. And the elders said, "Oh, we've got a song that we want to sing you." And they
That's
sang
a
this
gift.
song.
That's
Yeah.
a
Oh my
gift.
God. Oh my God. I didn't know what they were saying, but I got the gist of it because they was explained afterwards. It was about gratitude, about how much the village had
Oh,
been helped and the
oh,
health and the children. Honestly, I'm big tears, the tears streaming down my face because even though I didn't know what they were singing, I could feel what they were singing.
absolutely. And
Yeah,
singing is their gift. It is
absolutely.
one, they have nothing.
Yeah.
They have
Nothing.
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 And when they sing with their hearts so open and those smiles that go from ear to ear, And those beautiful white teeth,
Yeah,
honestly. Did you ever
it
see
was
such beautiful teeth?
it just incredibly humbling. And like I said,
Humble.
people had who had nothing yet would share everything they had.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
this
congratulations on that too. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
thank you. And over the period of like, God, how long's that been? Like 12 years. We've treated, I think, over nearly 30,000 people for free. So because we built a clinic there in a
Wow.
place called Mandawar, where people could come, like a permanent structure. And then during COVID, obviously everything was locked down, and the termites got in and destroyed half the clinic. So we've just rebuilt the clinic again and got it back up, and we've started again. And I've just been there for the reopening. But this
Oh, good.
time we are treating people, and it's being treated. People. We've got volunteers, homeopaths around the world doing it on Zoom. We've got nurses in the clinic. All the remedies there. That we've got a pharmacy there. Um, but
Good.
now it's not just about, for me, the next part is not about just treating people in Gambia like some kind of colonial power going over there to rescue the Gambians from themselves. Now my whole vision is now to help the people in Gambia to learn homeopathy themselves, so they can be practitioners in their own right and treat their own people.
Yes, that's the next step. That's
That's the
right.
next step. It's like that thing: feed them, give a man a fish, feed him for the day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. So
That's
now
right.
we're giving a free training, practitioner training, to the
Cool.
nurses there, so they can do it themselves. They don't
Oh,
need us, and
that's
that's, to me, the
stunning.
best thing.
Absolutely. And that goes for lifetimes and generations.
Absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely.
congratulations on that.
Thank you,
That
thank you.
warms my heart. I've talked to Harry Vanderzee. I did a
Yeah,
podcast with him and what he's doing with the Alma Foundation and what
yeah,
Jeremy's doing in Tanzania.
yes, yeah.
And I came to homeopathy in Africa. I
Mm,
met I met a vet who was seconded to the African army who was from Israel, and he was to look after the animals. And we were at the golf club having a beer, like like what you did in Africa. And I said, "Well, what do you do?" He said, "I'm a homeopathic vet." And I said, "Oh, I've got a
wow.
dog that's covered with eczema and his ears have tumors." And he said, "I'm happy to see your dog." So he asked me these questions. Believe me, I had not studied homeopathy. He said, "Does
Yeah.
your dog pass gas?" And I said, "He's a
Yeah.
boxer. Of course he does." I couldn't really get the questions about digestion and
Yeah.
temper, but he gave me three tiny pills. He said one a week for 3 weeks. This bloody, crusty chest and this nasty temper. I mean, nasty. He gave
Mm.
him Nux Vom, and 3 weeks later, this dog's chest was like a baby's bottom, and his temper was sweet, and I could breed him. And I said, "What is this? What is this medicine?" I tried
Yeah.
everything I
Everything.
knew,
Yeah.
everything. And he said, "It's homeopathy and it's miraculous." And that was the beginning. So that was Africa. That got
Yeah. There you
Africa.
go. Yeah. Amazing place,
Amazing place, and amazing people. Talk
mm,
about strength and endurance and the ability to
and
survive.
connection as well, Ambi. A connection to the earth, connection to the land. It's
Oh,
very heart
absolutely.
based,
Yes.
and yeah, it's yeah, phenomenal, phenomenal place, phenomenal place.
So how often do you go? 2 or 3 times a year?
Well, I'll be going back again in February. I haven't been for a while, but like I said, I've just come back, so I'll be going again in February. And yeah, because I really, get this training really off the ground for people and get them trained up. I want them to be trained up. There was a meeting with a minister of health there in Gambia who is very interested in getting homeopathy
Wow. Good on
into the
you.
healthcare system. Yeah, so we're looking at training the midwives. In fact, when I was there, we did a training for the midwives and doulas that are there, really getting
Good.
it into the community. So it's really exciting. So yeah, I'll be going probably back in February.
Oh, I'm really
Um,
proud of what you're doing. I
thank
really
you,
am proud.
thank you.
And if you've got a way that people can contact you and donate,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
send
Actually,
that
I'll
to
I'll,
me and
I'll send it to you.
that'll go
Yeah.
on the podcast because
So we've got an NGO where people can donate. So
good.
there's a separate donation from CHE. So I'll send you the link for that, and people can donate.
Please, please
Yeah.
do. So you've got longevity behind you. I don't mean age. I mean perseverance.
Yeah.
That's obviously a quality. And love of the game, love of homeopathy, that's for sure. And leadership, you've grown into it. It's like growing into a shirt that was too big. It's like suddenly you're filling the shirt.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
want to share with listeners about homeopathy and education?
I think I think as homeopaths, we are educators. I think we
Yes,
have
I
to really
agree.
remember that. And I
I
think,
agree.
sometimes I've seen it with practitioners. uh, They sort of sometimes, how do I phrase this politely? You need to go to where people are at. You can't expect them to be here around their knowledge of health and well-being as we see it as homeopaths. You've got to go to where people are at. And I think, I said, we have to educate our clients, our patients, whatever we call, which
I've always felt
place.
that
Yeah.
was really important. Yeah.
It's really, and keeping it really simple for people and
Yes.
walk alongside them, really walk alongside them. So I think that also think as homeopaths, we've got to keep things simple in our practice. It's so easy to go into analysis paralysis with homeopathy.
Yeah.
I say sometimes to our students at the end of the academic year, right, don't pick up another homeopathic book. Just go and get a beginner's guide to homeopathy and go back and read that again.
Do you know what I got a lot from? Veterinary books. I learned
Yes.
more about the vital force through reading veterinary books and treating dogs.
Yeah.
They made us do something in our last year of homeopathic college. We either had to treat babies or animals. And I said,
Yeah.
I'll do animals because I will not make a mistake on a baby because like
Yeah. Yeah.
terrified
Yeah.
me.
Safer.
And I met these people who bred police dogs. This is up in the lakes in England. They bred boxers and police dogs, and they were paying close to 5,000 pounds a month on medication,
Wow.
and they were exhausted. So I I came across them on a hike. I was hiking in the lakes and I saw this kennel and I went in and I asked about it and I said, I have to do this project for my college. Would you be interested? It would be free. And they were so worn out and so broke. They said,
Yeah.
sure, come
Yeah.
along,
Anything.
anything. And they had this old shepherd, a female shepherd who was incontinent, and they were going to put her down because she was
Oh.
peeing every place. And I said, "Oh, that's pretty easy to treat, actually."
Mm.
So I gave the causticum, and the dog stopped peeing on the rug. And all of a sudden, they said, "What is this?" It's that question we always, "What
Yeah.
is this?"
Yeah. What the
I
hell's this?
yeah, how does this work? And they got to keep their dog for several more
Yeah.
years,
Oh.
and they loved it. And at the end of the day, that money that they were pouring into these dogs, homeopathy is so inexpensive.
Yeah.
They were taking trainings and they were telling everybody in their kennel
Wow.
community about homeopathy. And all you have to say in England is the Queen's dogs were treated homeopathically, the Queen's
Mm.
horses were treated
Yep.
homeopathically. And that, you can't say that here. You know, yeah,
Yeah.
what they do is they cite movie stars and presidents who have used
Yeah. Yeah.
homeopathy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Slightly different.
so it's very different. But that was a huge beginning for me
Yeah.
to be able to explain it and teach them. I gave them a basic course and they went on and saved them so much money. They actually went on their first vacation in like 15
Yeah,
years.
amazing, isn't it? Well, and the proof's in the pudding, isn't it? And I think this is
Yeah.
what we're doing all the time. We're just, we're going out there just to help and educate people. I always say to students, you go out in the street and ask 10 people what homeopathy is. They haven't got an idea. They haven't got a clue.
No, in
So,
America, they think it's the people who do your nails or something.
like a nail bar, a nail
That's
salon.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And
They
so
go,
that's our job. I think, I think, but that's the meaning of the word doctor is teacher, isn't it? That's the true root meaning of it. It's like,
right.
we need to teach, we need to explain, we need to, and never get tired of that. And again, I always say to homeopaths, especially when they're about to qualify, and I said this on a tutorial recently, there's three keys to success in homeopathy, in a homeopathic practice. Number one, you've got to embody what you do. Because when you embody
Walk your
what you do,
talk.
you've got to walk the talk.
Yeah,
You've got,
absolutely.
you've got to embody what you do. And when you embody what you do,
That's
then you
right.
have then you have impact. And when you have
Absolutely.
impact, then you
Absolutely.
have livelihood. And they're the three keys. And embodiment is obviously embodying homeopathy, talking about it, um, living and breathing it. But also, it's about we've got to be beacons of health and well-being ourselves.
Agreed.
There's so many complementary therapists out there that, to me, are sicker than their own clients. It's like we have got to be beacons of health and vitality.
Yes, that's right.
It's like if I'm sick, I want to go and see somebody who's more healthy than I am, more vital than I am. And walk the
Yeah,
talk. So,
absolutely right.
you know,
Absolutely right. Wow, you've got it down very well. Well, you've had 28 years to perfect it, which is really stunning.
yeah, thank you.
Really stunning.
You're making me feel old. No, I'm joking.
Well, you are old. In the terms of a homeopathic school that's
Yeah,
lasted that long, that's remarkable.
yeah.
And
And listen, it hasn't been an easy ride.
oh
We've been
no, no,
attacked
I
by
know
the
that.
skeptics. I can't tell you the things that have happened.
Especially in the UK. It's a very
Yeah,
short fuse in the UK when it comes to homeopathy.
yeah. I
In
mean,
this,
not so bad, touch wood at the moment, but we've been through a lot, and so none of it's been an easy ride. But again, it's just you've just got to really, you know, I don't know, just have that passion for what you do, and
well, I really do feel we are guided, and I feel that I just retired from 35 years of practice. I still teach, but I don't take cases anymore. I just turned 80 in September, and I thought,
wow,
yeah, it's time.
yeah,
there are things I want to do before I'm off the planet. There are things I want to write. And I turned my practice over to the best homeopath I know here in the States. She looks after my husband and I have great admiration for her. I want to ask you a question about the offshoot of conventional
mm,
classical homeopathy and your feelings about that, because there's a lot going on out there in the woo-woo world, a lot. And I have taught a class called the Illumination Remedy class, where my homeopathic students have created remedies based on their intention to bring healing in certain ways. And some of these remedies are beautiful. We're in the process of doing a book that we hope to get published in the next 3 or 4 months. But there's also a lot of stuff out there that just doesn't sit well with me. And there's there's I don't know, hijackings, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And I'm uncomfortable with it.
mm,
We didn't have that in my day. I was trained as a classical homeopath. I qualified as a classical homeopath. I practiced as a classical homeopath for 2.5 full years by the book. And then one day, Marcus, I'm sitting taking a case and I hear this little voice in my head say, she needs syphilinum. And I went, I was like,
mm, mm,
what?
mm,
And I heard it again and I thought, you can give her something else, but this is what your guidance is telling you.
mm.
And that's when I started to follow my guidance. But I'm out of my ken with this new, I don't know what you call it. It's like a wave of I need to be careful what I say publicly.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
just trying to
yeah.
monitor my own.
You're trying to find the words, yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to find the words, but I'd like to know what you're feeling about this, because you are training people now.
yeah, yeah. I think that look, the whole homeopathic world is a very interesting world, as you
Yes, it
know.
is. It is.
And how I see CHE and the sort of whole intention of CHE was that it was a broad church that, like you
Hmm.
said, I said at the beginning, there's different ways to treat people.
Yeah.
And actually, the ways, the approaches, the methodologies, whatever you want to call it, is a way into a case. It's a way into approaching the case. But to
Yes,
me,
that's
like
right.
tools, yeah. But like one approach is not better than the other. It's what's appropriate at the time for that person. So
Yes.
again, it's like tools in the toolbox. One spanner doesn't
That's
fit
what
all
I always
nuts.
said too. The tools
Yeah,
in the toolbox.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And one span, if you just have one spanner, just one approach, and saying this is the only way, then you're not going to be able to fix many. One nut. You can only fit one nut. So it's about having those tools. And I think it's a really great analogy. because it's neutral. So if it's neutral, I don't have any biases. I don't have any favoritism of which tools span is best. It's one that fits. I mean, it's neutral. So for me,
Good.
it's
Good.
it's it's very
Yes.
broad. Now, listen, I have limits of what I think. Of course, like we're all human. Of you go, which to me is still a bit crazy because homeopathy is so out there anyway. And then uh,
Not really,
here's
not anymore. Not
yeah.
anymore.
Well, here's
Not
an
so
example.
out
It's
there
like
anymore.
remedies. Like remedies. Where you store your remedies, and I have this whole thing about X-rays. I don't want my remedies to go through the X-ray machine at airports.
No, I don't either.
However, and you get into trouble at the airports because the hassle you get. That's why I carry a Helios kit at the back which says don't X-ray, and I show them the box and they
Right.
swab it and they give it me back. But my wife doesn't have that thing. She said they're fine. They've always worked, and she sticks them through the X-ray. And
And I
guess
agree
what?
with your wife as well.
Well, guess what? Her remedies still work. So I don't know where the truth lies somewhere probably in the middle. But I think that I don't know. It's sad when I see homeopaths against homeopaths, but homeopaths have been their worst enemies since homeopathy started.
Absolutely.
You know, we,
Absolutely. It is, there's a lot of greed for power. There's a lot of greed for position. There's a lot of narcissism.
yeah,
But there are levels of brilliance that I have not seen in any other field in my life.
yeah,
There are levels of brilliance that knock your socks off, that just, I remember listening to David Lilly back
yeah,
in the day when I would have friends in the UK send me cassette tapes, and I would listen to those tapes, and I remember once standing up and going, "Oh my God, this man is talking about archetypes." It's the first time I ever heard the word in homeopathy, and it's like my whole brain just
yeah,
expanded 2 feet on both sides. It was, I've read article. I loved it when we had that beautiful Lynx journal. Do you remember
yeah,
Lynx?
yes, yes, I do.
I
Yes,
used to get that, and I must have had, I don't know, 250, 300 copies. And if I didn't know something, I'd go through and I would read an article and I think, well, I'm going to try that and see if it
yeah,
works. And
yeah,
I miss that. I miss that a lot. I
yeah,
think there's a lot we can get our hands on
yeah,
now,
yeah.
and there's a lot of webinars that are being taught, and I think the education is good in homeopathy. It's what people want to make of their practice
Exactly, exactly. And what is it particularly that you've got an issue with? What is it without actually,
without
getting
actually
into
saying it.
it?
I don't know. There's stuff going on out there that I'm just uncomfortable with. It's
Yeah.
just,
I think sorry to interrupt. I think what it is, it's when you get people's ego becomes part of it. It's when it becomes all about them. That's when I think it can get very unbalanced. And how much is projection of themselves into this? That's where I probably. Well, I'm a very basic. I'd say I'm a very basic homeopath. You've heard me on in
yeah,
social media. I, I'm really basic, and I got a lot of that from. Well, actually, Robert Davison, he would push you down if you sort of thought you were something, you
yes, I
know.
know. I
He
know.
would say no, and same with Robin Murphy. So Robin Murphy was,
Oh, dear to my
yeah,
heart. Dear to
yeah.
my
Well,
heart.
he took me under his wing when I was 22. He came over, did a conference, and he sort of took me under his wing, and he was my mentor.
I saw that
And
photograph of the two of you and I just
yeah,
loved it. He
yeah,
came to Tucson. I had a client whose father bought Robin his very first computer,
really,
a businessman in Portland, Oregon, because
yeah.
that's where Robin studied
That's
out there.
right, Portland. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so she asked me, she came for homeopathy and she said, "Do you know who Robin Murphy is?" I said, "Do I know who Robin Murphy is?" I'd get down and
Yeah,
kiss the ground this man
yeah,
walked on.
yeah.
She said, "Well," she told me this story about her dad. And she said, "Do you have a contact number?" I said, "Well, I can get you one." So I gave her the number. And then Robin was so tickled to hear from her. He flew out here from the East.
Wow,
He
wow.
flew out here and they invited me to have lunch with him. And
Yeah,
it was like meeting a rock star.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Well, exactly. It was like
he
it
was
was.
a
Yeah,
rock
yeah,
star and he was so kind
yeah.
and so gentle.
Mm.
He knew I was nervous. And when I said, "How long did it take you to write these books?" He said, 10 years for each book. I'll never forget that. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And
Oh, he
he
would he would work 18, 20-hour days. I say to him, look, you're doing too much. But he had this drive to
he was
complete this
driven,
work.
I know.
Yeah.
His work was brilliant. I'm so grateful to these people who are now gone. Misha, Robin,
Yeah.
Ernest, Ian Townsend.
Yeah.
Ian Townsend once said to me, Ambika, why did you choose me to be your clinical supervisor? And I
Yeah.
said, because you dot your I's and cross your T's, and
Yeah.
I need that training.
Yeah.
He's the one who said to me, put your pendulum away, Ambika, and learn to think. And I thought,
Yeah.
he's right. This
Yeah.
man is right.
Yeah, because it's an art and it's a science, isn't it? That's homeopathy. And Ian was really
Yes.
great with that. I loved Ian. He was such a, again, really sort of solid, feet on
Oh,
the
he was a
ground.
chemist. He was a
Yeah.
chemist with, I
Yeah.
think, with Imperial Chemicals
That's
before he
right.
became a homeopath.
Yeah.
He
That's
was
right.
so grounded. He was also one of the kindest people
Yeah. Very
I've
lovely. Big
ever,
heart.
ever,
Big
ever
heart.
met.
Yeah. Big heart. Big, big, big heart.
Big heart.
Same with Robin. Robin would just give and give
Give
and
and
give
give.
and give. And he'd always say to me, well, there's two things that will always sticks on my mind. And look, he's still with us. He's still with
He's
us.
still with it, very much so.
But
Very
he'd
much
say,
so.
Marcus, because there was no internet in those days, so I'll be phoning him up in America with cases and stuff. And he'd go, Marcus,
Oh,
he goes, look, keep it simple, Or he'd say to me, where's the party at? Where's the party at here? What's the? But also he'd say, always remember, homeopathy is the medicine of the people. Remember
it
that,
is.
because he came from the streets. He knew how life worked, and he would just give and give and give. And yeah, like you said, I'd organize seminars for him in London and come over, and he wouldn't even have a break. I'd have to
No, I
have to
know.
pull him away to have a drink because he would just give so much. And yeah, he was an incredible soul, and what a
I think in
legacy.
our time, we were very blessed to have some excellent teachers.
Yes,
Excellent teachers. And now your job is to create more excellent teachers. That's your
exactly.
job.
That's
And I still
exactly.
love teaching. I still
Yeah,
love the teaching. I really felt I wasn't as sharp as I could be with case taking, and I knew I needed to recuse myself from it. But I use it
yeah.
every single day, homeopathy. I have thousands, I would say maybe 3 or 4 thousand remedies.
Mm.
I'm surrounded by homeopathy here. And
Yeah,
if something goes off or somebody needs something, it's here.
yeah,
It's
and it's
here.
always there. And I think that we sometimes underestimate what homeopathy can do because we take it for granted because we know it. But when you see, like, just coming back from Gambia now and seeing these people who treating these people and they've been coming back, and this is, they want to tell you how things have improved, and more people are coming because of that. People coming from now Senegal just to be treated in this little village in Mandawar.
Really,
So
really.
word gets
Wow.
out, and
Yes.
we're so blessed that we know about homeopathy. We're so blessed that it's in our lives. I'm so grateful it's in the life of my
Me too.
children's life,
That's right.
and that what an amazing thing to do. It's more than a job. It's a vocation. It's a way of life,
It's
isn't
a
it?
calling. I
It's a
remember Murray
calling.
Feldman once said that. He
Murray
said,
Feldman, yeah, he taught me, Murray. Yeah,
"Oh, wasn't he great?
yeah, he
Talk
was.
about simple.
Yeah,
He's the man who got me to go to India and meet
yeah,
Papaji.
yeah, yeah,
And Misha had been there, Ernest had been there. There was a fourth one. I'm not sure if it was Massimo. I'm not sure.
yeah.
No, it was Rajan Sankaran.
Okay.
Rajan Sankaran. And Rajan said to Papaji, why are you a guru, Mr.
Mm.
Papaji? And Papaji said, so I don't come back in my next lifetime hanging upside down in the belly of a pig.
Wow,
Whoa.
that's pretty full on.
It was full on. He was in his
Yeah,
90s. It was about a year
yeah,
or two before he passed on. God bless him.
yeah.
And he's the man who I saw a lot of color around him and I saw a lot of
Mm.
violet light. And he had a lot of pain in his feet. He had probably plantar fasciitis or something. His feet bothered him a lot. And I said, I see color around you, Papa G. And I've made these color remedies. He said, well,
Mm.
give me one.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And all the pain went away. And that's how I got the name Ambika.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But there were so many people, so many doctors, so many
Mm.
healers. There were Ayurvedic doctors, there were acupuncturists, there were
Yeah.
hands-on healers, Reiki practitioners, homeopaths. It was something the way he got into the hearts of people, Papaji,
Mm. Yeah.
and he let them do what they needed to do to keep
Yeah.
him healthy. He
Yeah.
died at, I think, 93 or
Wow.
94. And he loved homeopathy. Well,
Yeah.
homeopathy in India is
Well,
like,
exactly.
they
I mean,
get homeopathy. It's so much
it's on
akin to
every street corner. There's
every
pharmacy in every
street
street corner.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
something.
that's what blew me away. I remember going to India, probably it was in 93, and I just blew me away. And I thought, this is how homeopathy can really be.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. It's the same in Mexico.
yeah.
Mexico, I was down there to go to the beach, which I live maybe 50 miles from the Mexican border in Tucson. And I thought, I always look to see where the homeopaths are when I travel. And found this gal. She was a homeopath there, and I went to her clinic. And honestly, they were lined up out the door and around the building. And they
Wow.
were laborers, farmers, housewives, mothers with babies, old people, people in wheelchairs and crutches. And when I finally got to her, I mean, she only didn't, she had like
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes per
Yeah.
case, and it was very physical. And she said she and her husband came from Mexico City. He was a medical doctor in this little town, beach town, and she just loved doing homeopathy. And
Yeah.
she didn't care if she had 100 people a day or saw
Yeah.
60. I mean, you know, I would
Well, it's
like
just a different type of homeopathy. I mean, it's
very
keynote
different.
prescribing, like you said. It's about it's a whole different again like Gambia, same as India. It's a
Right,
whole different way of prescribing, isn't it? It's
right.
keynote. You don't have time to think. You just got to
You don't
do
have
it.
time to think, and it's
No.
all very physical. It's
Yes.
really getting the physical body
Yeah.
to be functional again. It isn't
Exactly.
depth soul psychology, is what I call what I do is
Yeah.
soul psychology. And to give a remedy at that level, I've learned a lot, but I
Yeah.
didn't come to it quickly. It was 25, 27 years in practice before I even allowed those words to
Yeah.
come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share with people
Well,
on
yeah.
this
Well, I think it's
podcast?
yeah. I mean, you're talking about sort of like case taking. I mean, I remember for me, because as you said about those words about like syphilinium in that case, that voice. I remember sort of like probably about 5 years into practice, and I'd always been busy because I was obsessed, and I got to the point where it was ridiculous. I was like trying to compete with the osteopath in the clinic, so I'd start 7 o'clock in the morning, like he did. So you're getting people before they went to work, and I'd be
Right.
practicing till 10 o'clock at night, like seeing
Oh,
people every
wow.
half an
Wow.
hour, 16. I mean, it was crazy. Um,
Yeah.
but I remember about 5 years into practice, I thought I was drifting off in the consultation. And I'd be
Uh-huh.
like, oh, come on, you got to focus. But actually, what was happening was I was starting to disengage from here and getting a lot more sitting in here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I sort of had that, I suddenly realized actually this is this is easier because when I sat
Yes,
there,
that's true. That's true.
I was actually I was truly being with that person. I felt um I was truly listening and
Yes, and
present.
resonant with them.
Absolutely, because you can't think and listen at the same time. Truly
No,
listen.
no, you
And
can't.
people feel that. And I
Yeah, that's right.
remember,
They do feel it. They do
yeah,
feel it. They
and
know when
it's
you're there with them and when you aren't. I've had
yeah,
people cry at the end of a session, and I say, "What are you crying about?" She said, "Nobody's ever listened to me before."
yeah. And
Really?
where do we have that? We don't, because people are always thinking what to say next, aren't they? They're not
Right,
truly there.
right.
And I remember just letting that go. Not, I thought I'm just going to let it go and just sit with it. And that was a really big turning point about being a practitioner. And it always reminds me of that quote by Rumi. Beyond right thinking and wrong thinking, or right doing and wrong doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
I'll meet
And
you there.
it's yeah, and it's like that's what I realized that actually. we're in that field together, and anything's possible in that field.
Yeah, the realm of possibilities is so expansive. I call that field kicking the cabbage. When with my students, I say, let's kick the cabbage on this case. And they think, what is she talking about? It's like, let's get into the field and let's start kicking the cabbage on what is possible with this case. What's going to make the difference here? What's going to turn this pathology or this attitude or this fear around? What do you see here? That was the question. What do you see?
Yeah.
What do you see here? Because I think that's maybe the most valuable thing I ever learned in homeopathy is to listen and to look.
Absolutely.
And just to be there. And I love very menial tasks. I love house cleaning. I love doing the dishes. I love cooking. I love gardening. And that's when things would come to me. You know, I'm peeling a potato and I'm thinking about a case. And all of a sudden it was like, wham.
You
And
get
I
this
remember,
insight.
yes, I remember reading years ago about the scientists who discovered the crystalline structure of sugar. I think he won the Nobel Prize, and he said, I was in my garden and I was sitting there pulling weeds when all of a sudden it came to me, and I thought, that's right. It's menial tasks.
Yes.
Not poring over the books unless you have to. You know, differential diagnosis, that's one thing. You get into the books. But that it's like a firecracker goes off in your head and you got
it's
it.
insight, isn't it? It's
insight. Absolutely.
And it's neutral.
So
Again, it's neutral. Yeah, it comes of itself. It's like, well, that's how it is. It's
but
like
it also produces endorphins, and that's why you love doing it so much.
Yes.
It's like playing Sherlock Holmes or just, you know, solving a mystery, and it feeds you.
Yeah.
It actually feeds you, that whole process. I am better for having been a homeopath. I am better as a person for having learned not to judge. And towards the end, I learned to love people unconditionally. And
Absolutely.
that was a turning point when I realized that I was capable of that I stopped. I think that's what the whole 35 years
The
was
whole
about.
cycle was about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I remember talking with John Morgan from Helios, and I was chatting to him about becoming a homeopath or how he became it. And we talked, and he was saying he used to work at Nelson's Pharmacy. And he said he'd just come back from India, he'd been reading the Organon, and he was debating whether or not to become a homeopath. And he said, Fubister walked in, Dr. Fubister.
Oh, he met Dr. Fubister. Whoa.
Yeah. So people listening, this is
Talk
Mr.
about a rock
Carcinosin.
star.
Yeah. Mr. Carcinosin, who worked at the homeopathic hospital, a doctor there. And he was talking to Fubister, and he said to Fubister, you know, what makes a great homeopath? And Fubister looked him right in the eye and he said, without even hesitating, he said, unconditional love for your patients.
Oh, yeah.
Unconditional love for your patients. And that is a very profound statement.
I had towards the end, I got the most difficult case I had in 35 years. It was beyond anything I had ever experienced or seen or come in contact with. This man had been through many, 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 many doctors, healers. And I knew that if I was not capable of loving him unconditionally, he would go find somebody else. That I realized that that's what he came for.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I was capable of it. And that's the truth, because I am judgmental and I can be very, very critical, especially in case taking. It's like, I want to get it right. I don't like mistakes. You know, and it was such a lesson to just be in a place of total acceptance and love.
Yeah.
And finally, it took me a couple of years to get to that place. I thought, okay, it's time to retire.
Yeah, but that's the ultimate thing, isn't it? It's that and that becomes the remedy. I remember
that is the remedy.
That is the remedy.
And one of my students made that remedy.
Yeah.
You know, in this Illuminations remedy class, one of the students is one of the most loving and unconditionally loving human beings I've ever met. She
Yeah.
has studied for 9, 10 years with me on and off. And when it came time to make a remedy, she decided she was going to make a remedy from puppy spit, puppy spittle, because she had she had pushed a door over the paw of a little puppy, and the puppy kind of cried and then was licking her hand. She said, "That is unconditional love." So she made it out of puppy love. We all proved it. It was great. And then I said, "It's time for human love, human unconditional love." And she made it. And I have to tell
Mm.
you something. I take that every single day.
Mm.
Every single day when I talk to another person, I take that remedy.
Mm.
It was the biggest lesson I learned.
Yeah.
And maybe there are other ways to learn unconditional love. I'm sure there are many ways. I'm sure
Absolutely.
there are many ways. Parenthood.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are
Oh,
many ways.
many, many ways. I'll show you a story actually, which was very profound for me, especially as a practitioner, as a healer. Um, I I started did a deep dive into the three principles. Where Ian's Watson's also now very involved in, and it was very profound. The three principles training for me, incredibly training. So this was probably about 12 years ago, and if you don't know what the three principles are, check out on YouTube Sydney Banks, Three Principles, Mind, Consciousness, and Thought. Very profound. And even it sounds very simple, it's something that you can't really get intellectually, something you've got to experience. And I got asked, could I take a gentleman actually from the States, a guy called Joe Bailey, and he was a psychologist, clinical psychologist, and he was coming over to do a talk in a prison, in a high security prison in England. And
Wow.
a friend of mine said, do you mind taking him up to this talk, picking him up from the hotel, taking him up? I said, yeah, I'll take him. And so, lovely guy. I think he was from Washington State, and really lovely guy. And we had a great chat. We go into the high security prison. You're getting searched, and going through that. And the talk was being held in this in the chapel of the prison. So they took us into the chapel, and then they started bringing all the prisoners in. And these were tough guys, Mbika. These weren't petty criminals. These were armed robbers. These are people who'd been there for serious, drugs, gangs, really. And as they're coming in, you can feel the tension is starting to ratchet up because there's old scores from different wings of the prison, and they lock us in, the guards from the outside. So it's me and Joe and the vicar in this chapel, and there's about probably 100 guys in there, and I'm thinking we're gonna die because the tension is ratchet. And Joe, bless him, he's he's in his late 60s, looks like a geography teacher. He's about 5'6", and he gets up on this little stage, and I'm thinking, oh my God, they're not going to listen to him for 2 hours. This is crazy. So he stands up and he says, I know a lot of you don't want to be here. Okay. I know a lot of you don't want to be and listen to me talk. He said, look, I've been in prisons for the past 40 years. I've, dealt with prisoners on death row, some of the toughest prisons in America. And San Quentin, I remember you mentioned that because I remember that from Johnny Cash, San Quentin. And he said, but if there's one thing I want you to go away from today, this one thing is this: none of you are broken.
Wow.
You're all perfect.
Oh my. Woo.
None of you are broken. You are all perfect. Ambika, seriously, the whole room just went. Vroom.
Wow, that is fabulous.
You could hear a pin
Wow.
drop. And he had them in the palm of his hand for 2 hours.
That's all anybody in the world wants to hear. That's
Yeah, because
all anybody.
all the life they've been told they're this, they're that, they're no good, they come from a broken home, and this, and what it wasn't just the words, even though they were beautiful words he said, it was what was behind those words, because
Yeah.
he meant every single one of those words in every cell of his body. And you had those guys, they were sharing, they were crying. It was incredible, and that was one of the most profound experiences I've ever seen, because this wasn't like a middle class hippie sort of audience. These were tough guys, right? They didn't take
Wow.
any shit from anybody.
That's
And he
right.
had them in the palm of the hand. And that was the most profound thing. And that to me back to what we said about unconditional love. There was a man that who really, really, truly, in every cell of his body, believed those men weren't broken. Who they really were was perfect.
That's incredible. That's a beautiful story. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing it. I think we'll say that we're going to close off on that note because it is perfect and it is
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. I've loved
Thank you.
talking with you, Marcus.
And
I've
you loved it. Thank
loved
you.
it. This is wonderful, and perhaps we can do it again. You
Absolutely.
get back from the Gambia at the end of February. Let's connect.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and I
And
just
I
want
get you on my podcast, on the Homeopathy Spotlight podcast. I get you on
I'd
there.
love to be on your podcast. I think podcasts are the best way to go. It's just a
Absolutely.
wonderful way to share and to introduce people. This is
Absolutely. Yeah.
introducing you to people who listen to
Yeah.
these podcasts and vice versa. But I
Yeah.
want to congratulate you on 28 years. You really,
Thank you.
I know what that takes, and I just think it's profound and wonderful. And people who come to your school are the Center for Homeopathic Education in England, and I believe you're going to start up in Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah, we've started already. We've got a hub in Australia. We've got a hub in Bulgaria. We've got a hub in Turkey. We've got hubs all over
Really?
now. Yeah.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
thank
Well,
you. And you can do it online. You can do the courses online. We have people from all over the world doing our courses now,
oh,
practicing and
that's
training.
excellent. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
You're going to
Thank you.
produce some good homeopaths, and people are going to be better for what you do. And
Thank you.
that's why we're here. Thank you,
Thank you.
Marcus. I'm
Thank
going
you,
to
Ambika.
I'd like to thank our guests today who've shared their experience, who have enhanced my life by developing skill sets and a vision of the world that is really expanded and I think beautiful. So thank you until the next podcast of Unscheduled Flights. Again, I'm your host, Ambika Waters, wishing you all the best.